Bringing intimacy back. What does intimacy mean to you? In a world that feels more connected than ever, many people feel more disconnected than ever. It's time to reconnect. It's time to communicate. It's time to bring intimacy back. Bringing Intimacy Back, hosted by Dr. April Brown, the Doctor of Intimacy, co-hosted by Brittany Garcia and Thomas Lester. Intimacy is more than sex. It's connection. It's communication. It's relationship. Bringing intimacy back, where intimacy is real, creating deeper connections, one conversation at a time.
Where intimacy is real. I am so happy to be back with you guys. It has been a journey for me I think haven't done a live show since February of 2025. And I really, truly miss you guys. Thank you guys for chiming back in. I will, as time goes on throughout the podcast, tell you all the exciting things that have happened to me. But I really, one of the things I've been thinking of so much lately is this emotional intimacy part, because that's about connection. And especially in the world today with so much going on, I see it missing. And I don't know if you see it or you feel it, but it's been missing. And as you guys know, and many of you may or may not know, I'm a therapist. And I work with a lot of couples and a lot of individuals and stuff. And the struggle is lately is that emotional intimacy. So I'm so excited as I come back and start doing this show live again. We are going to take emotional intimacy and we are going to break it down piece by piece by piece. So of course, with Bringing Intimacy Back, if you don't know, it's a nonprofit, just to let you guys know that. And we always try to highlight a nonprofit. And the nonprofit that we're going to highlight this month is the Trevor Project. It's a great project because it helps those individuals, LGBTQ, who are struggling or who have questions and stuff. The Trevor Project is really great about that. Okay, so please check it out. You see on the screen, it has the link where you can go and see. The other thing that I just wanted to let you guys know, since I've been off from the BIB show, but I have been actually thinking about this whole intimacy thing and this emotional intimacy aspect. I also came up and wrote a book about it because it's something that we really, really, really need to get back into. So if you're like, I'm listening to the podcast, but I really would like some more information about how to improve intimacy, I have a great little book out there called Open Hearts and Strong Bonds. Check it out, and it's available on Amazon. Okay, so for this new part of Bringing Intimacy Back, I wanted to diversify it a little bit. As you guys may or may not know, if you're listening on your podcast, that I am a female, and I'm a Black female, probably I am in my 50s. So on this new series that we're coming up about, I wanted to diversify it and have voices of every generation, but a voice from a male, a voice from a female. So I have two brand new co-hosts, which I am so, so excited to tell you guys about. My first co-host is Tommy Lester, and Tommy, a little bit younger than I am, and the name, he's a male, but Tommy is a great guy. He's actually the founder of a new counseling program called Striving Higher Ministries and Striving Higher Counseling. He's also a former professional athlete, and he spent 20 years of ministry and counseling and leadership experience. He has worked with tons of couples, and he's going to bring a perspective from a male perspective about this emotional intimacy, because as you may or may not know, a lot of our young men, a lot of our older men, and even just people are struggling with it. And how does that relate, to faith and all that? Then I also have a wonderful, cheerful, bright little soul named Brittany Garcia, who is bilingual. So she's also bringing a little cultural piece. And she is the founder of Bay and Bloom Psychotherapy and she has done a lot of community mental health in Florida, but also in New York. And her practice will be in Florida and New York. And she's bringing in her passion about this topic here. So when we go for a break and we come back, you're going to meet these two individuals, and we're going to go deep down into emotional intimacy. I'll be back in a moment.
Are you seeking to deepen your intimate relationships and build stronger, more meaningful bonds? Introducing Improving Intimacy, Open Hearts. Strong Bonds by Dr. April Brown. This groundbreaking guide offers practical insights and strategies to transform your connections. Discover how to enhance communication, build unwavering trust, and reignite passion. Dr. Brown's expert advice empowers you to create a truly fulfilling and lasting connection. Don't wait. Get your copy today and start your journey to a more connected and joyful life.
Welcome, Brittany and Tommy, to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing well today.
Good. Thank you so much for being a part of this show and this series of, we're going to just get deep down into this, emotional intimacy. That word is being said in a variety of different ways. And I know I've given my opinion, and if you listen back to previous shows, but I'm curious from you guys, especially starting with you, Tommy, when we hear about emotional intimacy, what does that mean? What's your definition?
Well, we can keep it at surface level or go as deep as possible with the topic of emotional intimacy, right? Because I think, especially talking about men, I think physical intimacy, we kind of know a little bit about that, right? And I'm sure when men heard physical, they probably also heard sex in that process right there. And so they're probably tuning in. But if you ask people, and I'm sure that we all can agree, we ask 10 different people about emotional intimacy, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. So when I think about it, and as I think about it through my own life, I think about it as a therapist helping, as well as a pastor in church, the whole concept of it. And I think about it. I think about the ability to be fully known and still feel safe in that process. It's allowing another person to access our fears, disappointments, hopes, insecurities, struggles, and even our dreams without feeling like we have to hide or perform or even protect ourselves.
Right. It's that intimate you see. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. Being, like you said, vulnerable.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brittany, from your perspective, what do you see? And I know, how can I put it? You're in a different generation than I am. Yeah, so I'm always curious. Yeah.
I think that emotional intimacy, we've kind of broached upon the topics already, is just feeling that connection, being understood, feeling accepted. And I think the biggest concept when it comes to emotional intimacy is safety. And it's not just safety, okay, I'm sitting in a room and there's no immediate threat here, but it's that emotional safety and what emotional safety looks like for people. And it's being able to be our authentic self throughout our conversations and not have that fear of a consequence or a reaction from somebody that might get us into that headspace where, oh, I don't want to open up about this anymore because when I did, I got a really intense reaction from another person. So having that safety aspect when it comes to emotional intimacy, at least for me, is very, very crucial.
Yeah, it's that, like you put that safe part. Yeah. How do I keep myself safe, or how do I express myself and still feel safe?
Absolutely.
Yeah. With emotional intimacy in relationships, how does that even get created?
Yeah, that's a good topic. I think there's a couple ways for it to get started. If I can approach it a little bit from a little bit of a biblical perspective, I get this idea, and it's shaped through a book called The Gift of Being Yourself by David Benner. In Benner's book, he argues that to know God is to know yourself, and to know yourself is to know God. And while this book is not on marriage or even emotional intimacy at all, the principle, though, is powerful. Because before we can honestly stand before God, we must become aware of what is happening within us. Therefore, I believe emotional intimacy works much the same. So before we can deeply connect with another person, we have to become aware of our own emotional world. You know, many people want emotion or emotional intimacy with their spouse, but they never learn how to identify, understand, accept, or even regulate their own emotions. If I'm sad, or if sadness overwhelms me, if anger controls me, if fear paralyzes me, or even shame, it silences me. Well, then I will struggle to remain emotionally present when someone else, especially my loved one, is sharing their emotions. And so, this is why I tend to tell a lot of my clients that emotional intimacy begins within us before it can flourish between us. So, a lot of it happens from inside. It's knowing us well, knowing yourself well. I think is where a good beginning can be.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm curious about sometimes, especially when you're younger or even older, you don't feel like you even really know yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm lost. I don't even know. Uh, Came from a background where I wasn't able to express my emotions. You know, I wasn't able to say X, Y, Z. I was always shut down, maybe because I was the younger one or a variety of 50 million reasons. And now I'm in this relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm struggling.
Yeah. We see a lot of that almost every day,
Hmm.
sadly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some tools or some things that people can figure out for themselves in the sense of how can I get to know myself? Because I do believe what you say, Tommy, it starts with us.
Yeah. I like how you always phrase it, intimacy into me, I see. You know, it
Mm,
is. It's taking an inward look. I mean, I think that also could be a good start. You know, as you said, you know, I'm with somebody, but emotions were never safe. They were never taught to me or tailored to me in a way that I could understand them, feel safe with them. I had to hold them in. I had to protect myself, and now I'm with somebody, and that process as a child, which protected you, is now harming you. It's harming your relationship. I think a first place is to be willing to look inside, to own the behavior, to own the feelings and the emotions, to own the thing that is hurting before we can start to get to a place where we can start to not just adapt, but to learn a better way of being, to validate the feelings and validate the way that one is feeling and be in a place of emotional safety. I think it has to start with the present moment of where they are.
mhm. Yeah. Brittany, what is your concept about owning feelings and emotion?
I think owning feelings, especially if it's something that was never mirrored to us, can always be a tricky and somewhat daunting concept. Because when we look at like something, for example, the emotional wheel, right, where we have all of those different emotions and trying to make those connections, that can be very overwhelming for someone who hasn't even approached the topic, you know, in a place where they feel that safety, right? So I think just putting yourself in situations where you have the opportunity to understand yourself. I do tend to see this a lot within my clients as well, is giving ourselves the space to try things that will get us to a point where we can look at ourselves, look inward in those moments. So for example, if someone is struggling with making connections and making friendships, like going to a place where they have the opportunity to do that and seeing what's going on inside of them at that moment. But it all starts with honesty and honesty with ourselves. What is truly going on within me? What am I feeling in this moment? What is giving me anxiety? What's giving me happiness? What's giving me stress? What's taking away that stress? So having that dialogue and having those conversations, sometimes that might happen in the therapeutic space, sometimes that might happen within ourselves and our own reflections, but at least having the openness to explore it, I think, is the best start. Because if we don't have the capacity to recognize something is lacking or is there, isn't there, right, there really isn't a possibility to explore it. So just being vulnerable within ourselves. and tying that back into me, I see aspect of intimacy.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, you're saying a feelings wheel, and for those people who are out there, feelings wheel, you can look them up on Amazon, you can look them up on Google. It's a wheel that shows different words about feelings.
Mhm.
Yeah, because sometimes people only know angry, sad, and mad. But there's so many other feelings, and having a visual display of what the other feelings could be, whether it's disappointment, betrayal, frustration. Yeah, knowing to, hey, this is what I'm feeling, naming it. Yeah. But then once we name it, what do we do with that?
Hmm. Yeah, that's also a good question too.
Mm-hmm.
The aspect of the feelings, especially the feelings wheel, if anybody does look that up and you look at it, the way that I tend to approach it is the center is small. And those words, like you said, angry, sad, happy, frustrated, like those are like low-lying fruit for us. It's so easy to be within those, right? But why does the wheel expand as it goes out? Why does it get deeper and the words get a little bit more detailed? It allows us to get a bigger depth, build the depths of our awareness, if you will, for our insight and understanding. And so I think that we have to not just identify a feeling, we have to validate it, understand it, and own it. Or else we're just going to repeat that process, falling into a feeling that is dictating how we behave. But feelings and emotions are different. And so, we are going to have feelings no matter what happens. We can't dictate when that happens and when it doesn't happen, but we need to validate that feeling. And then we can allow ourselves to process it and then emotionally respond in the way that is best suited. So it's not just identifying, but it's also owning, understanding.
Yeah. And then once we identify, own it, and then understand it, like you said, it can, and feelings, people may not realize, but it comes and goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
like you started out, I might be in my 40s, but I feel, like I'm 20.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So,
You may
it's
not
just
feel that all the time, though.
no, and my body likes to remind me of that too.
Right.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the way I want to feel by any means. But yeah, I think when it comes to feelings and connection, those are two areas that need to be understood within a person.
Right.
Without the responsibility or the perceived responsibility of somebody else fulfilling that.
Yeah, because some people think, but just because I feel such and such is this other person's responsibility. But then yet, I know if you've gone to therapy, then you've read stuff online, you hear this word validation.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Brittany, what's the difference? Is this other person responsible for my feeling? But compared to validation, I'm like all kind of confused.
Yeah, and I think that's a great question as well. It's, typically if somebody gets us upset, it's not only is it a little bit easier, but it's also the first jump the gun kind of reaction. Like it's their fault. They're the one that got me mad. Like I'm blaming you, because in a way it's easier. But at the same time, and this is a conversation I find myself having time and time again, we are only able to control ourselves. As much as we want to be able to control other people or other things around us, situations, whatever the case might be. I know within my Latin family, that's a topic that's brought up a lot, is like, I'm going to tell you what to do and you just got to do it. But that's essentially not necessarily the case, right? We are in control of ourselves, and how we react is solely up to us. Now, that reaction is stemmed from what's happened in your life. Have you experienced significant trauma? Is this a trigger for you? Is this something that's bringing up a lot of emotions that maybe we haven't even labeled yet, right? Because going back to that emotional wheel, there's so many things that can stem from just one emotion. Is it really anger, or is anger that secondary emotion where there is sadness, there is, depression, there's frustration, there's disappointment, there's so much wrapped up in it. So I think it comes back to understanding ourselves and knowing that we are in control of who we are. We can validate our feelings. So if something gets you upset, something that is helpful to say might be something along the lines of, I understand that I'm really upset right now. This person is really getting me frustrated. In Spanish, we say, me sacó de quicio. They got me really upset in this moment, and that's okay. But it's understanding that although they got me upset, I can choose what I do going forward. I can choose how to react. If somebody cuts me off when I'm driving, I can choose to be upset for a moment, do whatever I got to do, say something under my breath, but keep going with it, because what would be the point of getting yourself agitated or going to a different wheel in that emotional or a different category in that emotional wheel? It's really up to that person, and then knowing oneself, right? And understanding that we are only in control of ourselves.
Right. I think we also have a feelings wheel that we're going to show, but you just mentioned, yeah, you see, so this is a wheel that has a lot of different feelings in it. And I don't know about you, but I recently got cut off in traffic. And this was at a very emotional piece in my life. I was actually going to my dad's funeral, and it got cut off. And there was a part of me that was very angry, just like, oh, want to take frustration out, which is if you go into the second part, and then really wanted to do something. But it's being able to know yourself. It's okay, April's angry. It's okay, she's frustrated. Okay, I'm getting upset. Yeah. But then what is that behavior next?
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily I had priests following me, so and I was like, I gotta be good.
There you go.
Yeah, but it is, and
Yeah.
also how it affects your body.
Yes.
Same, because it gets like really intense. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have been intense when you've been with a partner or something. That is just like, oh.
I don't know what that feels like.
Okay, Tom. Yeah.
My wife is watching. I got to be good here. Yeah. It is amazing how many people function in life and not realizing how much their feelings do affect their body. And that some of the, somatic things that they're feeling, or just the physical health that they're going through, can sometimes be related to how are they controlling feelings and emotions. And are they repressing them, and they shoving them down, especially men? I mean, how many men suffer with, things like strokes and heart attacks every year because, they live in an angry mindset, and how that riddles the body over time. And here they could have been perfectly healthy if they were able to understand their feelings, process it, validate it, live accordingly to what that is, and use emotions, and then also feel safe enough to express them. And yet we have a society of men that grow up, whether it's the silent generation, boomer generation, or however, with like, men don't cry, men don't show emotion. It is strength to hold it. And so, okay, yeah, hold it. And then your heart gives out because, that was too heavy for too long. And so it is a shameful thing to see that there is this picture painted, which is the opposite of strength, which is actually safely sharing, feeling safe enough to share with a person who is safe and healthy enough to receive and to understand, but to share emotions that you're able to control, to validate, to understand and regulate. That is healthy. That is strength. And so, and two, I mean, going back to our understanding of intimacy, what do you think happens when you can regulate your emotions and you feel safe and secure to share them, and without judgment, without fear, and you see that your partner is able to understand, to validate, and they're sticking with you, right? No judgment, right?
Yeah.
How much closer do you think you're gonna be versus I'm gonna hold this in because I put prejudgment on my spouse that they're not gonna accept, they're not gonna love, they're gonna maybe say something wrong or leave or whatever because I might share my inner thought, and then that's held inside, wreaking havoc. It is a shameful thing to see people go through.
Yeah, definitely. And I think kind of what we said starting in the beginning, it's about that honesty of self. Because all of us get upset, okay? And there's some of us, scream out and yell out, or others just try to get smaller, avoiding And in being truly vulnerable, I know I'm one that will probably try to get smaller. That's my thing. But I know that about myself.
So how do you balance that then? Being self-aware for that. How are you? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening probably feel the same
Right.
way. So how do you balance that?
So if I know that about myself, that yeah, but then I also know cognitively that my husband cannot read my mind. No one else knows. Only April is this in her own little world here. Yeah, so I have to challenge myself.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Yeah, and that's a good concept. How many couples do we have in front of us? And there's this perceived notion that through proximity, through time together, that one just knows what the other one's doing, and they're not aware of the fact that, like, well, you're like roommates because you're just assuming. You're just functioning logistically because you're assuming. You know, and the reality is, I'm pretty sure most men, while they might wish their wives could read their minds, really do not want their wives in their minds.
Right,
So
exactly.
speak, use the words that you have
Right.
to get what you need, but in a healthy way, in a secure way.
Right, because you can't believe everything your mind tells you.
Yeah, our feelings can lie to us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And myself telling my clients that we can treat our feelings kind of like an airplane in the sky. We can acknowledge that it's there, see it passing by, think about it for a minute, and then see where the next thought would take us, if that would be a productive way to navigate it or not. And I think, Dr. April, having that insight to you and knowing that that's how you tend to react in situations, you kind of tend to decrease yourself in those moments. That understanding, now that you know it, when you're in those moments, you're aware of it and you can do things to combat that. And I think that's always the goal, is that self-awareness. That's what we mean by getting to know oneself, is being able to understand your reactions. It's not necessarily like the number one thing to figure out why they happen or why you are the way you are, but just understanding why you have certain reactions to things can open the door to finding those things out. And it'll give you that better, not only understanding of yourself, but how you interact with the world and those around you.
Right, definitely. And I think well, a note from people on social media, someone asked a question, I need my partner to read my mind. Life would be easy. So when you don't know and you are just trying to figure out in your mind, one good thing is to start to even journal it out.
Yeah.
Or voice it out. But voice it out in a not to your partner where you're like screaming and yelling. You know what I'm saying? But maybe sometimes it is, even if you have to go for a walk and just say, this is what I'm so frustrated about. This is, voice it out or journal it out.
Mm-hmm.
Your partner, I always say, your partner doesn't have to get your first version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you can figure it out. But you know what? I am upset about such and such.
Yeah.
And then that's how you can go about saying it to you. That's what's kind of worked for me.
Yeah. It's kind of like there's a business perspective, when you're upset in the business world, sometimes they say, like, write what you need to, but sit on it. Read it the next day or a day later and see if that's really what you want to say. And sometimes that can even work with our own feelings, especially if we are in a position where feelings have not been something that is secure or we regulate well. Sometimes if we could just slow down enough to find a healthy way to get them out that we can go back to later, and then try to read it from an empathetic perspective. Like, if I was my significant other reading this or listening to this, would I like it? Mm-hmm. Am I voicing to be learned, to be heard? Or am I voicing just to put down, to win a fight? Those are good questions to ask when you're reviewing something that you write out or voice out. And again, like you said, they don't have to get your first. Your second could be best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about those on the flip side that don't understand? They don't shrink, but they get bigger. You know what I'm saying? When they get emotional, they get bigger.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay. So it's Tommy. Yeah. What do you do?
I have noticed in life there's been a little bit of an ebb and flow in that. There's been times I've tried to. I don't know if the word would be like to be bigger than what I am in the moment, to try to overtake the feelings. But there's been also times I've tried to shrink too. And it's been an ebb and flow. But I would have to agree with you. It comes to recognizing what I'm feeling right now. What am I feeling? where is it at in me? Like sometimes it could be the fact that, am I feeling misunderstood? Am I feeling ignored? Like, what am I feeling right now? Why am I wanting to explode? Why am I wanting to like raise my voice or be sharp with my tone or my tongue? What is it in me that's doing that? And is it healthy too? Like, it may feel good. Don't get me wrong. And a lot of men might agree with this, to lash out, to curse, to do something. Yeah. In that moment, oh, might feels great. Right. The short term will never help equal the long-term achievement though.
Mm.
So, okay. So in the short term, I just cursed out my spouse. Man, feels great, right? I feel good. But then like later when I want to get all like chummy and they're like, no, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on? And there's the disconnect there at the same time. So, we have to be self-aware, and I can't let it be based on and I know that's not what you were saying, but like, I don't have a pastor who's always sitting behind me, right? We have to have that awareness for ourselves. And sometimes it's not just understanding a why, but understanding the who. Who am I trying to do this for? I want a better tomorrow. I want a better person tomorrow, right? So I'm doing this for the future me. I'm doing this for the future of my marriage, my spouse, my kids, healthy family. That's my who. So sometimes, again, it just means taking time to slow down. And I think that if we could find ways to slow down in a lot of other ways, we might be surprised what kind of change takes place.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. This has been a great conversation about this emotional intimacy. And you kind of let a little thing slip out that, oh my gosh, this may affect things in the bedroom. If people get upset and frustrated and avoid or just become big or small. Oh, yeah. But guess what? We're out of time, guys. And maybe that's something we are going to talk about the next time.
Womp womp.
Sounds good.
Yeah, out of time.
That's good. So, any lasting tips for those individuals listening today in the sense of emotional intimacy?
I'll let you go, Brittany.
Alrighty. I think a wonderful tip to maybe starting those initial steps of emotional intimacy, if this is something new for you, would be to go ahead and give yourself a chance to journal. I think that getting to know oneself, especially through writing, is extremely beneficial, and it's something my clients are very, very familiar with. I always love to give a little bit of prompts for journaling. So if there's a question that you would want to maybe find on your own or take from us here, a good one could be, what do I like? What do I not like? What makes me happy? What makes me upset? What makes me sad? And then you can tie that all in together with, how do I know these things? So what are those clues that your body gives you that you know you're sad? Those clues that your body gives you that you know you're happy, that you're excited. And starting to get curious about yourself would be a wonderful, wonderful way to begin your journaling journey and to also explore what emotional intimacy looks like for you as an individual.
Thank you. That's a good one. Yes. And Tommy?
Well, without repeating, I'll go a slightly different direction here with just understanding that for those that want to follow a little bit of a biblical nature with things, like Scripture does support emotions. I mean, God gave us these emotions, and we need to do well with them. That's why He gives us self-control. But we can look at David. David's a good example here. David repeatedly invites God into the depths of his emotional world. I mean, he didn't hide his fear, his grief, his anger, his confusion, his shame. But instead, what we see him doing is he prayed. We see this in Psalm where it says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts." In other words, emotional intimacy, as we've said, and I don't think we can say it any better sometimes, is that emotional intimacy begins with emotional honesty. Honesty first with ourselves.
I love how you put that. Yes, the honesty of being authentic, knowing thy feelings of what am I feeling. And I love, Brittany, how you put it down. If you don't really know, let's start to write out. How does my body show it? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is a great, and if you write it down, if you're in a relationship, it's really great to even both of you write it down. Both of you share it. That right there starts to build the building pieces of emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back. Definitely. We're going to be doing this every 2 weeks, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. And so, Tommy, what's going to be the next topic coming up?
So in 2 weeks on July 2nd, again, tune at 1, we are going to be talking about emotional safety before sex. And once again, I know every guy's ear just perked out when I heard sex, but there is something that has to happen before that, emotional safety. So we'll be talking about that. And then following after that, we'll have modern relationships and parental issues and wounds, which is also a big topic.
Right, definitely. And if you had put in out a question and you wanted to know, why didn't you guys get to one of my questions? We will definitely answer those questions in the next coming up sessions.
Yeah.
Yes. So this has been the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. Thank you, Brittany and Tommy, for being on the show today. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Bringing Intimacy Back, where intimacy is real. To continue the conversation, visit us at bringingintimacyback.com and connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, YouTube, and your favorite podcast platforms. Looking to deepen your relationships even further? Check out Dr. April Brown's Improving Intimacy book series, now available on Amazon and Kindle, including the newest edition, Open Hearts, Strong Bonds. Be sure to join us again next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another meaningful conversation about relationships, connection, communication, and intimacy. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, share, and leave a review to help us bring intimacy back to even more people. Until next time, keep building deeper connections, one conversation at a time.